Chelsea fans, now I can say that this season or the upcoming season, you are ready to compete because at the start of last season, I told you guys that you are not going to compete in the Premier League because you had 0 world-class players in your squad because Caicedo had not proven himself. Same thing to Cole Palmer, same thing to Marco Corella. But you see, this season now, the season that has just ended, these 3 players that have just confirmed themselves as a world-class because Caicedo right now is a world-class player. Marco Corella right now is a world-class player. Cole Palmer, you can say he's a world-class player. I cannot argue with that on you. Although, like I said, my criteria for being a world-class player is usually, first of all, you need to prove yourself at least more than 2 seasons, at least 2 seasons. Then you need to show that actually if you move into these other big clubs, you can actually start there with ease. And then finally, you need to also to prove that actually you can actually make the first 11 in your national team, something that I think we can all agree that Cole Palmer is still struggling to make the first 11 for England. So until Cole Palmer proves himself for England, personally for me, I will still not consider Cole Palmer as a world-class player until he proves me wrong by starting in that England national team. But Caicedo, 100% world-class. Marco Corella, 100% world-class. And on top of that, you also have top players. And again, Reece James. Reece James at one point he was world class, but these injuries they can just make you again to just lower yourself a little bit. But right now you have a lot of top players because you have top players like João Pedro. And when I talk about top players, these are not average players. They are players that they are on a transition from being an average player to a world-class player. So these are players that they are on a transition of being world-class. For example, João Pedro, that one is a top player. You have Pedro Neto, that is a top player. You have that is a Fernandez, Enzo Fernandez is a top player there. Reece James, you can see, is a top player. So you guys, you have a lot of weapons. That's why I consider you one of the teams that can actually compete for the Premier League next season. Although my concern is still on that goalkeeper. You need to do something. I've heard the rumors that you guys are trying to go for Donnarumma, but we have to wait and see how that rumor will end up like. But this upcoming season, I'm 100% sure you guys will compete simply because now you have some world-class player in your squad and you have a lot of top players because you've just signed Hato. That one is a top player. You have now João Pedro. And the difference between a top player and an average player is very simple. For example, Dilap is an average player because he is not even showing that he can be a world-class player in the near future. But you see João Pedro now is a top player because he's proving that he can actually be a world-class player sooner in the near future. So that's the difference. But you guys are ready to compete next season because you have a lot of quality in the squad. So that's now the difference between this upcoming season and the beginning of last season. So it was just as simple as that.